Okay, today we will start with date functions. We are done with numeric, the basic numeric and string. Now we'll see the basic date functions. Now, these are the basic date functions in Oracle. Please have them down. Add underscore months. Okay, it is a function name. You should be writing it as it is. Caps or small letter will not be a problem. Okay, add month, months, last day, months between, next day, round. Okay, the first 5 are the basic date functions. The last 2, they are date functions, but they fall under a category called date conversion functions. Okay, they fall under a category called date conversion. Both to car and it is underscore, to car and to date, they fall under a category called date conversion. So first we will see one by one all the functions. Okay, we will do add months. Hope you remember your dual table. Okay, it is a dummy table in Oracle where you can do all your beginner stuff. Okay, now we'll do a function called add month. Now add months, it will have 2 parameters. It will have 2 parameters. You can say d comma n. D will be the date. D will be the date and n will be a number. So this is how you use the add months function. Select add underscore months. You can give, let's say, the sys date. Hope you remember the sys date, comma 4. And let's say I give a name like AM. AM from dual. Okay. Now let's see what happens. Now, before that, let's see what is system date. Okay, hope you remember what is the system date. I suggest all of you kindly mute except Varsha. Okay, the system date is 25th September 2020. So add months will add up correctly 4 months to your system date. So after September, you have October, November, December, and then you have January. So that is what add months do. Instead of giving system date, you can even give any random date. Okay, but it should be in the format of the system date. Like, I can give 1 Jan 80. Okay, that will also work. Either the system date or the any current date, both will work. The only thing you need to notice is if you're giving any user defined date, it will be considered as a string, and because it is a string, it will be in single quote. It will be in single quote. So this is how you work with the select date function. So we'll go for the next function. The next function is last day. Okay, last day of the month it will give. So I'll write select last day, last underscore. Okay, last day, I can give any date. I can give either a system date or from dual. Okay, the last day of a month will come. Or I can even give any other date. Last day, LD, select last day, LD from dual. Okay, that isn't working. So you can work with the system date itself. Okay, so the last day of the month would be displayed. Now next you have a function called, which was the next one? Months between. Okay, MONTHS, months. Yeah, months between, BETWEEN. Now, when you do months between, you should be having 2 dates. You should be having 2 dates. Let's say I'll have one date separated by a comma. It will calculate the months between 2 particular dates. So let's say I give a month like a date like 1st September 19 and 1st October 93. Okay, and from dual. Okay, I'm selecting the number of months between two particular dates. I will be getting a number called minus 37 because this is a lesser date and this is a greater date. But imagine I'm giving it the reverse, like 93 over here and 90 over here. I will get a positive number. Okay, I get a negative number because the second date was a higher date. Okay, the first date is a higher date, you will get a positive number, otherwise you will be getting a negative number. Okay, the number of months between two particular days. Okay, now we'll go for the next function, next day. Select next underscore day. It is very simple. You give either a system date or any date. Let's say I give 2 July 80. Okay, July 2nd, 1980. And then I want to find out which will be the next Sunday after that. So this is the format of next day. You will give a day, you will give a date followed by a particular weekday. Okay, and then I'll give let's say sun from dual. Okay, so the next Sunday after July 2nd would be 6th July. Same, I can give any. The next Saturday. Okay, perfectly right. 5th. If Sunday is the 6th, obviously, no, Saturday will be a, I can change the Sat. Obviously, Saturday will be a 5th. Okay, so that is what you mean by next day. Next day is not exactly the next day. It is the next corresponding weekday. Next corresponding weekday. Now, next we'll go for a function called round. Okay, I'll clear my screen. I'll make it neater. We'll go for a function called round. Okay, select round. Okay, now round, it will have two parameters. It will have two parameters. Now, round, you usually do it like this. You convert it to a date. Let's say I give a date 2nd July 80. 2nd July 80. Now, I give it in this particular format because my system date is in this particular format. You might have noticed it is in 2 sep 80. Okay, because my system date was in this format, I gave it in this format, and then I can give, let's say, y. Okay, I want it.
Ma'am, 2 in the T capital aano.
No, it can be any. It can be any. It is not case sensitive. Oracle is not at all case sensitive. It can be 2. Anything is fine. Perfectly fine. No problem. Okay. I want to convert it to the y date. So I'll just have a naming called year from dual. Okay. You should have this y. It is a string. That should also have come in quotes. We'll go on the safer side. We'll have it in caps. Okay. Yeah. The next year. Okay. It is rounding off. You will be rounding it off to the next year. So the correct next year is after 2nd July is 1st Jan 81. Now you can even convert it to the next month or round it off to the next month. Okay. To round it off to the next month, it is not y. Okay. You can write MON because mine is MON. You can write it MON. Okay, so the next month, I'm rounding it off to the next month. It will be 1st July. 2nd July, uh, it will be rounded off to the next month, which would be 1st July. Just a minute. Look here, 2nd July. July 2nd, July 80 means, you know, the half year is already over. The half year is over, so I went on to the next year. But look here, 2nd Jan. I'm still in the first half. I'm still in the first half, which means, you know, when I round it, it goes to 1st Jan 80. Look here, the same way, let's look month. 2nd July. I'm in the first half of the month. I'm in the first half of the month. So, you know, when I round up, it goes to the first date of the month. But when I go 28th July, I'm in the second half of the month, and I've told them to round it to the month. So second half of the month is, it is almost equivalent to the month is over, and you have told to round it up to the next month. Round it up to the next month. So it is rounded up to the next month, which is August. So that is how things happen. 15 below, it goes down. 16 above, it goes up, rounding up. Okay, so shall we continue? Can I continue? Is rounding okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll clear the screen. I'll get a prettier screen. So what was the next one? Okay, so we have done add months, last day, months between, next day, and round. Now we have two date conversion functions, to car, and to date. Okay, to car and to date. I'll open up my SQL Plus. Okay, hope you're able to see my SQL Plus. Okay, right over here. Let's first write down what does the to car and to date does. Okay, to car, it converts a date to a particular format. Date to a format. Okay, it converts a date to a format. And to date, okay, in to car, you will be entering a date and you will be converting it to a given format. Okay, but in to date, you will be entering a car. Okay, you will be entering it to a car, and then you will be converting it to a particular format. So to car means you should be entering it in a date format. Okay, to date means you should be entering it into car format. So let's come in SQL Plus. So first we'll do the to car function. Okay, select to car. To car. Okay, now which format should you be entering? You should be entering it in a date format, which means very simple. You should be entering things like system date, and let's say you want it in a particular format, DD YY from dual. Okay, now if you see my system date, it was not in that format. Select sysdate from dual. It wasn't in that format. It was in a MMM. Okay, MMM. But now I've changed it to this particular format. Now, let's say I want to change it into YYY format. Okay, it is possible. You can change it into a predefined system format, your sysdate. Okay, now let's try this. Let's try this. Instead of changing your system date, okay, let's say your system date is in which format? September month, right? So 1 Jan year 20. Okay, very simple. This will not work. Okay, so to car, you can change your system date to a particular format. Your system date to a particular format, because you know this format, because you're giving it in quote, it is not in a system date format. It is in a character format, and for that we have another function. Okay, now to change a system date, you have toCar. Okay, you remember we tried changing this date and we got an error. Okay, but you want to change the date. You want to change that date. You want to change the date into a particular format, but it is in a string format because it is in quotes. Now, to change things which are in a string format or a character format, you have a function called toDate. Okay, I'll hit an enter. This will now work. If you are giving it as a string, if you are giving it as a string in quotes, user defined, you are giving a user defined date, you cannot use the toCar. You should be using the toDate. Okay, that is why I gave it over here. toDate, you can convert a character or a string. Okay, let's be more specific, a string or a user defined date. A user defined date to a particular format, to a particular date format. Okay, and this is converting your sys date to a particular date format. So that is the difference between the conversion functions toCar and toDate. I'll take back my SQL. toCar and toDate. toCar, you cannot convert a string, it is the system date. toDate, yes, you can convert any string.